been a crazy week. Super Bowl Sunday, and Central Michigan still without a head football coach. Joining us now to talk about some of that, Nate Schneider, writes for the Morning Sun, covers CMU football, basketball, baseball. Nate, thanks for taking some time to join us.
Always good to be on.
So you reported right after we finished the show last week, much to our chagrin, that Azani was rumored not to be a candidate. So just from what you've heard, is that still the case? Is he not in the running to be the next coach?
Yeah, I haven't heard his name ever since then. Sorry about that. I mean, it was literally like an hour or two right after where I talked to someone, and they said he's not a candidate. So kind of did you guys a disservice, but I had to put the information out there.
I know, we appreciate it. We get it, Nate.
Yeah, you don't need to be sorry for it. I mean, that's still our guy, and until he signs on to be the offensive coordinator at Tennessee, we're still holding on to some hope, Nate. So don't take it too harshly.
Dream crusher over here.
But the Tony Annese situation as well is a unique one in the fact that some people are reporting that he hasn't interviewed for the job, and some have said that he's going to interview for the job or has already interviewed. What's the latest on Annese in the coaching search?
From the people I've talked to, he has interviewed, and I mean, the people that report he hasn't interviewed talk to him directly, and the head coach is never going to tip his hand and say that he interviewed somewhere else. I mean, he has his own recruiting class at Fair State to consider. I mean, if he's not going to get another job elsewhere, he has to think of his class first and foremost, and those kids aren't going to feel very comfortable if they think the coach that they're going to play for is going elsewhere. So he can't come out and say that he's interviewing elsewhere. And from what I hear, I mean, it might not even have been that he directly interviewed. It could be his agent have had talks with CMU, and that's been considered in the interviews and that kind of thing. So he might have been able to say, no, I didn't interview there, but there still have been talks from everything I've heard.
Well, and Nate, I know CM Life, obviously you guys compete with them or whatever. They had the interview that said he had not interviewed. I don't know if they completely said one way or the other, but it was nice to get your thoughts and what you've heard, because he has interviewed according to you, and that's kind of one thing that I've looked at and said, you're right, your point is a valid one. If he has interviewed, what does he have to gain by saying, yes, I interviewed? So I think that there's definitely something there. It's been really quiet outside of this Annese stuff, though, and I guess what I was thinking about was you covered the Keno Davis hiring. Dave Hickey made that hire as well. Is this similar in any way to the news before Keno got hired?
For sure, because in the week or two before Keno got hired, you weren't even hearing his name at all, and then someone just kind of popped up out of the blue. I guess it's a little bit different with Annese because his name has been in the mix all along, but I mean, we could be sitting here talking next week with someone that hasn't even really been in discussion so far, like a Keno Davis. These coach searches are usually kept a tight lid on by the university, and this is no different. And CMU's doing a good job of kind of keeping information in-house, and I know Dave Hickey's been hanging out at the airport a lot, so they're not really giving us too much info right now. Although I will say I did have a brief conversation with Hickey after the basketball game yesterday, and he joked he's kind of stringing us along. He might take us to August just to kind of keep this interesting for a while.
Well, that's the thing. So Annese is a name that you've thrown out there, but it seems like everybody else that was remotely linked a week ago has been kind of shot down. Brady Hoke was reportedly not interested. That was from Mark Snyder down at the Free Press. Bill Clark has said he doesn't want to coach for next season. Azani, as you've reported, he's not a candidate. It seems like everybody, Bo Baldwin was kind of a sexy name out at Eastern Washington. He's gotten a raise. Who else is there if it's not Annese?
Terry Malone from the New Orleans Saints. He was their tight ends coach since 2006. He's a name that I've kind of brought up. He's reportedly been interested, but I don't know if CMU's interested in him. That's kind of the thing. You don't really know who CMU's interested in at this point. Ed Warner, the new offensive coordinator at Ohio State, is a name that's kind of been brought up. There have been a lot of names. I mean, Slocum, I saw in scout form. He's been with the Packers for like 8 years. They let him go, and he's been a name that's popped up. It's kind of throwing darts at a board right now and kind of figuring out who CMU might be interested in, and it's kind of just bringing up names because we don't really know. CMU has done a great job of not really providing much information at all.
Here on Chip Chat, we just had Nate Schneider on. Doesn't it always work like this, Jim? It worked like this last week where we came on, talked all about Zach Azani, hyped him up, And then Nate Schneider was there to break our hearts and say that he wasn't in consideration. And now he comes on, gives us great stuff as always, and now is tweeting out. And if you don't follow Nate Schneider, he's at Nate J. Schneider on Twitter. He tweets out just moments after coming on the show that he's received word that 7 candidates have interviewed for the CMU head coach job. No names given, and more will likely interview this week. He continues on by saying weather has played a bit of a part in the issue that has slowed down the interview process for Central Michigan. And then also says that he was told it includes many top assistants at FBS schools. So some breaking news that there's 7 candidates that at least have been interviewed, right?
7 is more than the 2 or 3 that we knew.
What 7 are there?
That's a great question.
And he said they got no names, but it's good to see that the interview process is going along, right? I mean, 7 interviews, and the weather playing a part obviously means that, you know, Hickey's trying to get on the road somewhere, trying to fly around some places, and the snow, wherever he's going, is disallowing him from doing that.
So somewhere cold candidates? You start looking at top coordinators in cold
We're going to
cities?
speculate all over there.
Well, it could just be that it's cold
He's going
and
north.
Mount Pleasant. It's Canadian football. Top assistants in the CFL.
No, Jim. So
Coming here to Mount Pleasant.